Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And in today's video, we're going to be going through the recently released AP Top 25. This came out October 24th, this Sunday at 1 o'clock. We are recording right as these are released. And if you guys are interested in being a part of the channel here and a potential jersey giveaway, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, leave a like on today's video, and leave a comment on today's video as well to be entered for a Justin Fields jersey giveaway for the Chicago Bears. Pretty awesome jersey, in my opinion, and I think something that you guys would be very lucky to have and win for free on the channel. All you have to do, again, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the place you're going to want to be anyway for college football discussion as we go throughout the process leading up to the college football playoffs. So, Austin, here now looking at the recently released AP Top 25 after a crazy week in college football in which 5 of the top 25 ranked teams ended up losing. We're seeing massive shifts in the rankings here. 25, we see BYU back up here. Coastal Carolina with a massive loss. I think you and I are both surprised to still see them on this list. They fall to 24, were previously ranked 14th. UTSA keeps on winning, stays at 23 here, 8-0, moves up one spot. Iowa State moves to 5-2, jump back into the top 25, and then the San Diego State Aztecs find themselves at 21, representing the Mountain West Conference. Austin, what's your thoughts so far on 25 through 21 here? Any key games to talk about?
The big game I do want to talk about was the Iowa State-Oklahoma State game. I mentioned in that pick'em that was going to be a very, very close game. Iowa State ends up coming out ahead. They were at home. They had the home field advantage. Oklahoma State looked a little overwhelmed. Definitely were struggling on the ground for sure. That was the big issue. Jalen Warren really couldn't get it going. Wasn't super efficient in terms of actually running the ball. Iowa State, they just looked prepared. This was a top 10 team heading into the season. They suffered an early couple of losses, and now they're starting to bounce back. They beat the undefeated Oklahoma State team. That's a very, very good program. Iowa State gets the key win. And the other games I do want to talk about, San Diego State gets a win, and so does UTSA, and less notable conferences. However, they are being rewarded for that undefeated record. So that's the key in these rankings. Sometimes those other conferences don't get a ton of love unless you are undefeated.
Right, which is really going to bring me to the key one I want to talk about in this 25 through 21 list with Coastal Carolina here, Austin. Representing the Sun Belt Conference, they were 6-0. There's a lot of people in our comments that thought this team should not be ranked even while they were 6-0. Then they suffer a defeat this week, moved to 6-1, and they still find themselves in the AP Top 25. Do you agree with where Coastal Carolina is ranked?
It's tough because Coastal Carolina is a pretty good team, actually, but that loss, I mean, that should almost be enough to knock them out, just considering their strength of schedule and everything. When you are in the Sun Belt Conference, you are expected to be an undefeated team at the very least. When you're in the top 25, I mean, the strength of schedule really speaks to that. And Coastal Carolina probably should have been bumped out of this top 25. There's a couple of other notable teams here. If we look down, the others receiving votes, I probably would have above even Coastal Carolina. A couple of schools that definitely should be in consideration for sure.
Right. NC State, one of those teams that was ranked top 25 last week, ended up losing, fell out of the top 25. There's a real argument there that they're a better program and a better team currently than Coastal Carolina. Moving in now to the top 20, we are looking at the Penn State Nittany Lions here. SMU is also on this list. Auburn at 18 moves up one spot. The Pittsburgh program there moves up to 17, had a big win this week as well. And then we see the Baylor Bears there at 16, and they jump up a few spots from the 20th ranking. I think Penn State's really the one that jumps out here. Lost in 9 overtimes this week in a very, very close matchup where they just didn't get the job done down the stretch of that game. Talk a little bit about the Nittany Lions here.
Yeah, really disappointing loss. Penn State had high hopes of actually getting into that college football playoff discussion, and 2 losses are really going to hurt them. I don't see them being a chance that they can make it into that college football playoff discussion anymore. I think they're really out on that. The 9 overtimes, it's tough. This was a program. Franklin's done a wonderful job with this team. He's recruited really well, and the team definitely. They're definitely not where they need to be. Unfortunately, you can't lose to Illinois like that. Very frustrating for Nittany Lions fans. Tough loss for them.
Right. We've seen them drop 13 spots after losing to an unranked opponent in Illinois. Definitely probably puts a real shadow over their season. Not very likely that they're going to be able to ascend back into that top 10 rank. Austin, here looking at 19 through 16, the other teams here. Anyone else you want to highlight in this grouping?
I do. Pittsburgh. That this is definitely a team that You got to feel good about. This Pittsburgh team is improving. Kenny Pickett has really picked up his play as well. He's been one of the best college quarterbacks in the entire nation. I love what the Pittsburgh Panthers have to offer. A team that I was even sleeping on heading into the season. They look better than advertised.
Definitely, they move up to 17. They got a big boost going from 23 to 17 this week, and we'll see if they can continue to ascend throughout the college football season before we get to the bowl games. Moving into the top 15 here now, Austin, we have Oklahoma State. You talked about them a little bit earlier on in the show with their loss to Iowa State. I believe they ended up dropping down to 15. Then we have Texas A&M at 14, Wake Forest at 13. The Kentucky Wildcats climb back up to 12, and then Notre Dame finally shifts up a few spots up to 11. I think Oklahoma State's the key one to start with, and then let's transition into some of the others.
Oklahoma State, they definitely felt that they had put themselves in a great position in the Big 12 to potentially get into that college football playoff discussion. They were at number 8. They had a winnable game on the road against Iowa State, and they definitely blew it. There was a call at the end of the game, very questionable. Looked like they had picked up the first down, could have been a game-altering first down. However, they were marked short. A lot of discussions being had by the NCAA on that game. Some other games I do want to talk about. Wake Forest put up an offensive show. They scored 70 points against Army. Really crazy game. They won 70-56 for the final there. ACC. Sam Hartman is looking the part. He looks phenomenal so far this year. Is everything they were hoping that he could be for this program. We also have Kentucky moving up a couple of spots here from 15 to 12. Notre Dame, once again, they're getting close. They're creeping back towards that top 10 range. This is a team that a lot of people are deeming as frauds, but there are some people out there that actually believe in this Notre Dame program. So I guess we'll see how that goes moving forward.
Right, that Notre Dame defense definitely headlined by Kyle Hamilton, the star on that defense, someone who's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. For you college football fans, we do an NFL draft, NFL mock draft every single Monday. So make sure you're staying tuned on the channel. Subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Austin, last team I want to talk about here from 15 to 11, Texas A&M. They've climbed up to 14. Remember, just a few weeks ago, they had upset Alabama. And a lot of people in our comment section were mad that Alabama did not move down further after losing to unranked Texas A&M. With them climbing up to 14, I think we're starting to see that was more about who Texas A&M is rather than who Alabama is. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Something I want to talk about, Texas A&M is loaded in terms of their roster. They have a ton of NFL talent. They have an experienced head coach in Jimbo Fisher, and they fought through some of the headlines earlier this week when Jimbo Fisher was named one of the lead candidates to take LSU's head coaching position. He shut that down immediately, and so did his wife. It seems like they're very happy at Texas A&M. So really the distractions all week long did not result in any harm to them.
Right. We see the Aggies move on up to 14 now. Jumping into the top 10 here, we are getting to the best of the bunch, and that is started off with Ole Miss at 10. Iowa, the Hawkeyes, stay at number 9 after moving up a couple spots. Michigan State here at number 8. The Spartans having a phenomenal season at 7-0. The Oregon Ducks jump back up to 7. We're 10th last week, representing the Pac-12 here. And then Michigan, the Wolverines, stay exactly at spot number 6, representing that Big Ten. Again, 3 Big Ten schools here from 10 to 6. Austin, any key ones you want to talk about here specifically? Maybe Ole Miss with Matt Corral, the Iowa Hawkeyes. We talked about them a little bit last week. Anything specific here for you?
Yeah, so Iowa jumps back into that top 10. Obviously, after facing that disastrous loss, that they do work themselves back up into that top 10. You see a lot of Big Ten schools here. You have Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa, the powers of that Big Ten. Ole Miss gets the job done versus LSU. Matt Corral looked good in that game. Ole Miss is a very, very competitive team, only has 1 loss on the season. I would keep my eye out on them. They definitely have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. In particular, Matt Corral is a special talent himself. And Michigan, Harbaugh is absolutely getting the job done with this team. We've heard so much over the last couple of years about his shortcomings and how this team has been so talented, but they're not living up to expectations. Give this guy some credit. They're doing a great job with this team so far this year.
Right. When your head coach and leader of that program is really so notable, you're going to be in the news a lot, especially when things aren't going right. Everything seems to be clicking this year for the Wolverines. They find themselves at 6 again this week, which leads us into now our top 5. If you guys haven't already, make sure to leave a like on today's video if you're enjoying the AP Top 25 reactions here. 5, we got Ohio State, another Big Ten program here 4 in the top 10. Then we move into Oklahoma representing the Big 12. Alabama jumps back up to 3. We called them the consistent climber. They're going to get back right up into that college football playoff discussion. Here they are at 3. Then we have Cincinnati. The Bearcats have had such a phenomenal season all year, still at 7-0. And then the Georgia Bulldogs, of course, still the top dog in the AP Top 25 here, Austin. Let's talk a little bit about Oklahoma. Caleb Williams has been nothing but excellent for that program since coming in for Spencer Rattler. I'm sure many of you watching our video have seen that phenomenal play he made on 4th down to really save that game against the Kansas Jayhawks and really, propel Oklahoma, to winning that football game. What's your thoughts on Caleb Williams so far in his starting performances?
He's an absolute gamer. He's a guy that you want to lead your team. He's been very impressive so far. They did struggle in that first half against Kansas, kind of made everybody sweat. They were down in that game. Kansas has had an array of issues, I guess you can say, over the last couple of years with their football program, a numerous amount of head coaches that just have struggled as a whole. Oklahoma definitely had their issues early on, but Caleb Williams did what it took to win that football game. Obviously, if that play doesn't get made, maybe this is a different discussion. Maybe Oklahoma's not 8-0. However, they are. Caleb Williams will make big time plays. It's kind of interesting that they are number 4 and Alabama is number 3, considering Alabama does have 1 loss. But I think this is more of a testament to Alabama's strength of schedule, how good of a program they actually are, or team this season. I think that's kind of where some issues may lie with some people that are seeing these rankings. Let me know in the comment section below who should be higher, Alabama or Oklahoma. Let's talk about Ohio State a little bit. They had a blowout win versus Indiana. This team is looking the part now. They had that 1 loss against Oregon. They're really hoping to climb back into that top 4. If they consistently keep blowing out teams like they have been the last couple of weeks, they should get there pretty quickly.
Yeah, we could definitely see Ohio State possibly make that big jump up. Another key thing to watch will be that SEC championship game. If Georgia defeats Alabama, maybe that's Ohio State's route back into the top 4. If Alabama has 2 losses and Ohio State ends up winning the Big Ten, it'll be hard to keep the Buckeyes out of the college football playoffs. Austin, now, final question here. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. We have 2 SEC teams in the top 3 in the nation currently, and also 4 Big Ten programs in the top 10. What is the strongest conference for college football currently?
I think it is the SEC. It's very tough to kind of look at it and say that it is the Big Ten. Big Ten has definitely gotten stronger. Definitely some teams like Michigan State that we weren't expecting. So this year they're kind of getting to the top of their game. They look really, really good. And there's some underrated programs in that Big Ten, but it's that bottom half of the Big Ten that kind of scares me in terms of overall strength. So I think the back end of that SEC is what kind of carries them over the Big Ten. I think they are very close right now.
Right. You had mentioned Michigan State. One quick discussion on that as well that came to my mind. Is Kenneth Walker a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate at this point? What's your thoughts on that?
He definitely is. If you've been watching his games, he is a big time playmaker. He's a guy that can put a team on his back, and he can definitely take the workload for this Michigan State Spartans team. He's a big reason why they are as good as they've been so far this season. So I think he should definitely be in that Heisman conversation. Unfortunately, it's going to be a tough path with some of the great players we've seen, like Matt Corral, thus far this season.
Right. There's definitely going to be a lot yet to unpack throughout the rest of this college football season. We'll get a little bit more into Heisman Trophy winners in later videos. We'll also get into a little bit more of the AP Top 25, our predictions, our thoughts going into each and every week with some of their college football pick'em videos that we're also going to have coming out later in the week. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Leave a like on today's video and comment to be entered again for this Justin Fields jersey. We are really happy and excited to be giving it away to one of our lucky subscribers. So we want you to have a chance at being the lucky subscriber who wins it. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy today's video, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.